Someone had to be the first. Duke von Ryzen's departure from Novostoya was noted by many, but disregarded all the same. After all, he had planned to retreat from the capital to his new estate in the north for quite some time. His early departure would strike some as rude, but few people in the city could stand to gain anything from gossiping about the second most influential ruler. White griffins and ravens arrive within 3 cycles of Pran, bearing hand-painted cardstock invitations. It is said to be the grandest wedding Astoria has seen since long before the Darkfall. All attendees are welcomed at the recently completed Von Santra Cathedral. Grand bells tolled for hours, shaking Novostoya in its foundations. Young Lady Annalita was nothing if not ambitious. Had she not survived her birth where her own mother did not, had she been born a strong, healthy child, her father might not have sheltered her as he would find porcelain cups in a glass cabinet. Had she not spent her entire youth in and out of the hospital that her father had constructed for her, being subjected to radical treatments that he had developed for her, then perhaps she would have had a chance to live rather than feeling like she had done nothing but survive. Her entire life, from schedules for medication to tea parties and even potential marriage candidates, had been written with the ink having dried long ago. And that is when he came along. You see, words of his exploits had reached every sitting room in Hightown. He was young, dark, lacking in the proper etiquette, the women would say, though none could deny that their cheeks colored when his eyes wandered where they should not. Baseborn, her father would spit, as though that had meant anything. She knew that we all bled the same. No amount of money or good pedigree had saved her from being interred on a ward for her entire youth, barred from even interacting with other children who had similar ailments. No, Morgen was her answer to her predicament. A silent rebellion, a fantasy, one that became a reality, thanks to the city below. Her father's eagerness to promise her a way to him should have told her enough. He was planning something, for she could not believe that he had changed his mind so quickly. Had Morgen any chance at all? The odds had always been against her, but she had pulled through every time, and so she waited. Quiet, demure, stately, as a lady should be. Always listening, though, looking for answers, exploring the depths of the betrayal that had taken root in the city. And so she would soon come to learn that it was not just her and her father who were leaving the city post-haste. Many of the older houses had been planning to leave Novostoya for lands up north. A strategic decision, perhaps. Or was there something else at play? With their motives not yet figured out, he had returned within a 10-day of his departure. He was seated on her windowsill on a crisp morning, waiting for her to stir from her slumber. But he was different, changed by the city below. But Annalita did not fear change. She embraced it and promised herself to him anew. And things moved quickly then. First, they took the Duke, and with him came the answers. It was quite simple. A good bargain, some might even call it. One entire city in exchange for the answers to the war they could not win. In fact, the old wars that were to come. Now she crossed the threshold into the cathedral, shedding but a single tear for the spineless sire who could not walk her down the aisle any longer. She held her chin high. She strode across the carpets to the victory of the people. To her victory. Her freedom. Klaus, as he was now called, had offered her a carefree wedding day, a feast with wine and music and the merriment in knowing that all would pay their dues. When she and her ladies-in-waiting departed the feast that evening and heard the locks click in place behind her, she knew that the white carpets would be red come morning. He had her drink the elixir later that night, fulfilling his promise of a life free from ailment. She was the first of the Crimson Council, a new governing body that put Astoya first. 5 other figures were elected for their loyalty, craftiness, and standing, ensuring that the rest of the country could be pulled in line to form a united front. Because Astoya was due for a reform in many departments, and it would start here. Unfortunately, the Lady of Masks and her retinue, as well as those nobles who had managed to get away, had rejected the Crimson Council, spiraling Astoya down into another tense situation as they effectively split the country in 2. One side behind her mages and the other behind Morgen's undead. But a greater threat than either province still laid in wait. The Birag Empire, now a ravaged old beast looking for easy prey. Unable to fend for themselves alone, the Vampire Lord and the Lady of Masks were forced to work together to beat back the Emperor's forces and keep the border along the Grey Spine Mountains. With the Empire unwilling to lose face again, this conflict remains unsolved to this day, ensuring in turn that Astoya's civil war cannot fully come to blossom. No, Annalita von Ryza was nothing if not ambitious. She would find new creative outlets in improving medicine beyond its current limitations, invited scholars, doctors, and medicine men from all over the world, invented improvements on the human physique, and even drew up and enacted her plans to create a new race capable of modifying their own bodies. But her Morgen could not find that peace. It was as though the very thought that Astoya remained in a headlock kept him from finding a single moment of respite. Council members would come and go, but she and Klaus remained a staple throughout the decades. More and more often he would stray from the city, meeting with Andras or disappearing into the countryside for weeks on end, seeking something beyond her understanding. As the years went by, he would only seem more and more irritable and erratic at council meetings. Either he was bored of endless politicking, or anxious about something that lay ahead. But what that was, he would or could not confide within her, him being either too stubborn or too stupid, or perhaps there was something left inside of him, seeking to protect her. When the council pressured her for a replacement, she eventually had to cave, and he gave up his place without another word, instead spending more and more time along the border, taking part in skirmishes or seeking out individuals of his particular interest, or even all by himself, in the ruins of their site of matrimony. No, she was not the only ambitious one in this household, but she also knew in her heart that the story of her Morgen Hund was not yet finished.